shit.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Summit. I'm Antonio Perez, joined as always by Danny Cole, DCU Penn's finest, Chris Coulter, CB Coulter Boy. We got a great episode for you guys today. We will be recapping the NBA Finals. The Thunder are the champions after winning a Game 7 at home. And we got a lot of NBA trades to talk about. Desmond Bane is on Orlando Magic. KD's in H-Town. Jrue Holiday just got traded to Portland. And a couple hours before this, Jordan Poole just got traded to New Orleans. So plenty of trades to talk about. Plenty of rumors to talk about. Going to be a great episode. Before we get started, just want to remind you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Audio listeners, make sure you leave a like, 5-star review, anything to push that algorithm. But we can kick it to Danny for Summits and Plummets to start.
Summit. Aaron Rodgers is only being on the Steelers for 1 year. Summit. That's all I have to say.
You're admitting he's bad? Admitting
no, I'm admitting that I want some direction in the long term. Eventually.
You should have started about 5 years ago.
They thought they tried to with Mason Rudolph, but they were
Mason.
As some say,
sixth best quarterback in his draft class.
As some say, he was wrong.
Yeah, very wrong. Steelers have been making wrong decisions for a long time now.
But no, nonetheless, that is a big Summit. Happy to have him for a year. No longer after that. He can go back to the woods with some ayahuasca after that.
Should do it now. He'd probably be a better football team for it.
Hilarious. Yeah, the Plummet is we might have swapped areas, Chris, because Pennsylvania, it might be hotter than Texas right now. You walk outside and you start sweating immediately.
What's the weather?
Was it feel like 110?
Bro, it's like at least you walk outside and I have back sweat immediately. It's how bad it is.
It's 97. Real feel is 101.
Welcome. It's 90. It's 99 right now in Plano.
I cook an egg on your car.
It's disgusting, and it's not even to the point where it's like I was even complaining like, oh, it's hot outside because I'm just used to this nonsense. And then the next few days, 99, 98, 97, 98, 96, 94.
Yeah. I've never been happier to be at work, actually, because it's very cold in there. So,
Yo, my work is usually cold. When I tell you the office was hot for the first time.
You got to get one of them little mini desk fans.
There was a fire yesterday, and we had to go outside at noon.
You probably would have been cooler off in the building with the fire.
Might have been, man.
Oh, my gosh.
So that's probably the Plummet of the week. Start your Monday off, and you have to go outside at noon because of a fire. Yeah,
Ambler site, more like amber, like fire. Am I right? Tough crowd. Let's go to Chris though.
I had all that time to think of a summit. I didn't even think of one. I think. Oh, I'll say my first summit is I'm narrowing down the game I'm going to this year for the Ravens. I think I'm going to Ravens Bears. I was talking to Tone about before I got on. So I think I'm going to Ravens Bears in Baltimore, which I'm excited to finally go to the bank. I haven't been to the bank yet, so I'm excited to go. And I guess I'll say double summit. The world is finally finding out how good Paige Beckers is in real life, not just because she was drafted early, blah blah. That she's actually like that. First player to 200 points and 50 assists. Fastest player to 200 points and 50 assists in WNBA history. And it's only going to get higher than that because she's really, really like that. So I'm excited to see that. Going to a Wings game soon. I think I'm going to go on my birthday because they play the Aces. So double W. But yeah, those are my two.
Yeah, Paige has been awesome. While really limiting the turnovers. Just if you just zap someone who, like, everyone knows who Paige Beckers is, but if you just like zap some random person who knows nothing about sports, just told them watch Paige Beckers for a game, you would probably assume she's a vet. The way she can just lead other players despite being 22 years old, 23 years old. It's great stuff. So just staying in that realm. This isn't necessarily a Summit of Plummet, but there's a nasty, nasty photographer out there in the W who caught a picture of Paige staring at AZ Fudd, and I thought that was very funny. And Miss Fudd, or should I say Miss Beckers, completely outed herself by taking a mirror pic, and her phone case is more like a name tag because it says Paige Becker's girlfriend. Um, good job, good job. Your private, not secret lifestyle is out. It's pretty much been out for 3 years, but hey, shout out. Um, I'll say Summit. Summit going to the beach this weekend, so that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Can't be mad at that. Uh, Plummet might just be the same as Danny's. It is. Uh, it feels like where the bad people go outside for PG reasons. Yesterday we got a little practice together for our 7-on-7 team, and Dace was like, let's meet up today. I'm like, bro, it's so hot outside, but we still went. I guess that should be a Summit. Me and Danny got our first game of the summer season tomorrow.
That's a Plummet, man. We got. How's it gonna be?
Oh, shut up! You get all the 8 p.m. games. At least you get to bed at a good time. Not 4 of our 6 games are at 9 p.m.
We don't have all 8 p.m. games.
I mean, do you want to go check? I think your 9 p.m. game is against us. That's the last week of the season, so that's no surprise. No surprise.
Oh, they moved it. They moved it.
They moved it.
We played week 3.
Blue Bloods. Let's see. 8 p.m. Got a 9 p.m. there. 8 p.m. 8 p.m. 9 p.m. 8 p.m. So you're the opposite. 4 of your 6 games are at 8. Maybe it sucks a little more for you because it's a little bit hotter, but you'll sleep better. So I digress. Let's go to this NBA Finals recap, though. Oklahoma City Thunder. Last time we recorded, they were down 2-1. We were going to record once they got up 3-2, but we decided to hold off till the end of the series. It seemed like Oklahoma City had found them out just for the Pacers to completely flip the script on them in Game 6. But all in all, the Thunder got it done. I guess my first question to you two guys is, what are the chances the Thunder will repeat?
I would say if it's on a 100% scale, I would say about 70.
Okay.
Reason I say 70% is because the league is just one of the biggest threats is injured in the Celtics and going through changes. So in my eyes, Thunder and Celtics were probably one of the best matchups outside of the Pacers with just how team is constructed. Tall stretch, y'all see the memes, you know what I'm saying. So I think that was probably one of the bigger challenges for them. So I would say 70% is in their realm. It could be a sleeper team like the Cavs that can give them trouble or something like that if they got the East. But I think the hardest thing would be getting through the West again. And I think with everyone trying to get better in the West, is going to be a lot of new pieces. And one of the best things and most underrated things about basketball is continuity and having a team stay together. I think the Thunder will only have another year of being together, and they keep 70 or 80% of their core together. That really matters a lot. So I think they'll have that advantage. Even the teams who are getting better in the West and East, you're still going to have to have continuity and still figure out how to play together. Like, for example, I know we're going to get to it with KD in the West now. I mean, KD on the Rockets now. Elite ad, great, but it's like he's still going to have to learn how to play alongside these guys. He's one of the easiest people to fit into any system, which he's shown in every stop, but still, I think that matters. So I give it a 70% chance just because of that. And I think they're a really good team. And then you also have to add in health. They were pretty healthy for the most part this year. I mean, they lost Chet for some time, Hardenstein missed some time, but they weren't out at the same time. So I think they were, for the main part, very, very healthy. So you just gotta, if you don't have that type of health, it always gives another issue. So I think they have a good chance, all things considered.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to say about that last point is that the person who got hurt was the main suspect. Like if they were gonna be stopped from winning a championship, in my opinion, it was gonna be because Chet can't stay healthy. But but they did it anyway for the most part. I'm gonna be completely honest. This is a little bit different than the Porzingis thing with Boston last year, where it's like, okay, they would have cakewalked to a finals without Porzingis. He was, just the true a true addition, a true plus just to have out there. But Chet's defense was so important. Um, that I guess like if you were to miss like real playoff time, okay, then we're like, okay, now they might be struggling for real. Danny, what do you think? If like on a one would be like the Thunder have no shot of repeating. 10 is like you can book them for 2026 champs. Where do you think you're sitting at?
7.8.
Okay, so Chris was about 70%, a 7, around the same deal.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the teams that are built to beat them have their stars hurt.
Yeah, that's pretty much a good way to put it.
I mean, Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs could beat them. That's
they're a
probably
good matchup. They're a good matchup. My only issue is, as currently constructed, I think there's a wee too many defensive weak links, which is ironic because they have, probably the best defensive front court in the league. But
they might have the best defensive lineup in the league.
And not
unfortunately, there's a guard on that team. Unfortunately,
yeah, not the Cavs.
No, Chris, you forgot Garland's not going to be on the team in 3 months.
That's what I'm saying. As currently constructed, no. But if Garland's off the team and Mitchell is kind of really the only guy you can pick on, then it's like, okay.
I don't know if you can really pick on Mitchell. When he's healthy, he's an okay defender when he's healthy.
Yeah, but the problem is people who are bigger than him are going to, like, put him in a locker. So
that's fair.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's already an undersized 2 guard as it is.
He's really a 1. Like,
yeah, I mean, this is completely off topic, but I wouldn't. If Garland gets traded, they might not have to get a point guard in return. They could just be like, we just saw SGA, who kind of started his career as a shooting guard, then just became a quote point guard this year. But truthfully, he was more just like, we're shifting from like not really true point guard, Chris Paul, Darren Williams type of thing. It's more like, who is just going to be the primary playmaker, and then we'll figure everything out less. Anybody can be the primary playmaker. It could be a center like Jokic. It could be a wing like Braun or Tatum, or it could be a guard, any guard like Luka or SGA, who both didn't come in as point guard. So it's not a bad take there.
Yeah, pretty funny. They're going to try to get rid of Garland and Strus.
Strus should go. He's not good. And they're probably not going to retain Ty Jerome, which is also good because Milk, while a bucket, that the playoffs kind of showed why he kind of
he is what
important of a role,
bro. He's not that, and not even like a hater. Ty Jerome's a really good basketball player, but the thing is, when things get tight, he can't have all that freedom, and he's not going against bench players. He's actually in against regular players. He shows he's a serviceable guard, average guard, but not 20 million worth, which I think people were going to probably trick themselves into playing.
Well, his last couple games, I don't think anybody would be buying him at the $20 million mark, which means he could possibly resign in Cleveland on a much cheaper deal, or Orlando could probably afford him at a nice dollar. Maybe he wants a 1-year prove it, like, like the playoffs was a phony. Just let me get back there and I'll show you what I'm really made of. But time will tell. Back to the Thunder, though. Okay, so we're all kind of in agreement that like if they can just get through the West, which isn't an easy task. I mean, like one of the worst constructed Jokic teams gave them some hefty trouble, or let's say Jokic and Aaron Gordon did. But I don't know if I see anybody in the East unless the Celtics, like best case scenario, are the 4 seed by like March or April, and Tatum's like, you know what, I'm young, let's do this, and ramps up for playoffs. But I doubt that's happening. Let's go to the Pacers though. So last year, the Pacers in the conference finals, people's immediate thought was like, oh, this is like that Trae Young Hawks team, and then they They're right back in the finals, and you hate to leave it up to hypothetical, but Tyrese Halliburton looked like he was about to turn on a mode that we had truly never seen from him. Not a pass first mode, like almost like his best through those first 7 minutes. I would say his best LaMelo Ball impression. Like, I'm just gonna get these shots up, and whether they fall or not, I'm going down swinging. And then unfortunately toward the Achilles. What I guess you would say, how would you grade the Pacers this season? And what are the expectations next year, considering the best players on the team are going to be Siakam, Nemhard, and like Aaron Nesmith?
Yeah, you know what? I think they're going to be a better version of the Miami Heat.
Okay, like they're going to sit around that mid area, but they're gonna fight. They're going to be scrappy. Defense, offense might not be as potent as it was.
Yeah, but like the Heat have Hero, they have some Rozier, they have some players that can provide the offensive spark, and I think the reason I say that they're better is, number one, Pascal Siakam's better than any offensive player on the Miami Heat currently as it stands. Number two is they have a young player upside, Nemhart. They have Ben Mathurin, Ben Shepherd. They have all these players that can come in and play the two. What they're going to go do is try to come out in this offseason, probably go try to get a one, maybe a Tyus Jones to replace Halliburton. And hey, they could run it back. But you get a cheap one who's just going to go facilitate.
I think if they were to pry any guard from the Bulls with a chance to replicate a deep playoff run, I don't know if I don't know.
It's Lonzo for sure.
That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I don't know if he has those 2022 days in him still, but if he does, he can make it happen.
Best part, he only needs 20 minutes of the 2022 a game, because you still got the Nimbard of the world who can take on a bigger role. So I think Lonzo would be quick to kind of slide in here.
They would almost like split the roles. D'Lo to the Pacers. Are we going for a 2019 Nets remake?
Let's do it. Come on.
D'Lo's not that fun anymore, unfortunately, because he used to be young and it was cool. He was averaging like 21 and 7 on the back half of the year.
D'Lo is Milwaukee Buck. Remember, I said it here first.
Man,
D'Lo and Milwaukee Buck. We'll write that down.
I saw D'Lo drop 40 with my own eyes.
That is true. Any of the game winner?
No, he gamed Giannis.
That's funny. Giannis got it. Giannis and Paul George are the two best defenders who got the most gamers on their head.
Yep.
Paul George be getting gamed. Bro. It's so bad.
Yo, all right. A little side note. I love that every single OKC fan is like, "Thank you, Paul George. Thank you for giving us Shea and all these players."
It's just like, I wish I could tell you how I remember feeling when that trade dropped.
Everyone felt like it was a bad trade.
Well, I remember people being like, it was a lot in the moment. Like, that's a lot of picks.
Everyone was like,
if you win a championship, that's the main difference between the AD trade and the Paul George trade. You can never tell the Lakers nothing because they won a chip. But not getting a chip out of it, and the team you traded with turned your young budding star. Well, not saying they turned him into. He obviously put the work in, but like MVP, Finals MVP, and whatnot is tough. I do want to get to that point though.
Since
SGA has this is easily the best individual season.
Since
I have to include the playoffs, so I think it passes 2016. Steph Curry, if we're including postseason, which you'll have to because it's part of all-time runs. It's very important.
Got to be MJ, right?
I wouldn't jump him over 2013 LeBron. Because 2013 LeBron was a hater away from completely running the awards table. MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, First Team All-NBA, First Team All-Defense, Finals MVP. And one of quietly the greatest Game 7s of all time, which people choose to ignore. because apparently the Ray Allen won the entire series when he tied the game with 5 seconds left in the fourth quarter of Game 6. So I would say easily the best since LeBron. If we're talking guard seasons, I think definitely since Michael Jordan. I think so. There might be like a Kobe year. Because here's the problem: Kobe had better years than his actual MVP year, but you can't put them over the Shea years because it's like, got the hardware, So it's a strange one, but yeah, you might be looking at the best guard season in the last 30 years, which I don't think is crazy to say. I know he's not the most likable guy, and you don't like the way he gets to the foul line, and you don't like all this stuff. But here is the truth. Um, the truth is that he's just unguardable. He's a great playmaker. He's a good defender. There's not really a hole in Shea's game that you could point to.
Yeah, the crazy part is when Neesmith fouled out, someone wasn't watching the game. They're looking away, and like, of course, Shea's still in the game at the free throw line. I said he just got jumped on. What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like that's people would just look at that number. First of all, there were I think 4 or 5 games of the series where Shea went to the line 10 plus times, if I'm not mistaken. But like 3 of them was like the Pacers trying to play like catch up ball and intentionally fouling. Yes, of course he's gonna go and make they're only mad because he makes them. No one's mad at Giannis for getting to the line so much.
He sucks.
Giannis, I'm pretty sure shot 200 more free throws than Shea, but he just misses that many.
Y'all know the crazy part about the whole ordeal? People will get mad at Shea, but praise Brunson and praise Embiid. And outside of that,
wait. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I don't know about Embiid. I don't know about Embiid. Brunson, you won't hear a peep though.
I'll tell you why. The Embiid thing is when his shot's not falling, he plays bully ball, and they don't really see what he's doing. But I'll take Embiid out the equation just for my point.
D-Wade he gets a lot of hate. He gets a lot of hate.
Embiid sucks.
Well,
he shot 18 free throws a game. That finals series, 18 free throws a game, by the way, 18. Manu Ginobili is probably one of the worst foul baiters in the history of the NBA. But he's really good player. D-Wade, really good player. One of the worst foul baiters in NBA history. So in real life, in this NBA where everybody says you can't touch anyone anymore, it's way less physical, blah, 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 which whether you agree or not, that is what's been said. So if you take all that into account, and you take into account he shot less free throws than them back then when it was more physical, I'm not sure how it's foul baiting. But you know what it brings me to? When they don't have something, they're going to pull something, right? For Kevin Durant, when he went in, first he couldn't win. Then when he won up the Warriors. Now his finals MVPs doesn't count. It's always going to be something. And I think luckily for Shea, and I think he said this in an interview with Lisa Salters, I love it because it just means that they're watching. And I think that's the realest thing you could ever say. Because at the end of the day, you're watching and trying to nitpick what I'm doing because I'm doing so well. So for me, if you praise Jalen Brunson for anything, and I think Jalen Brunson's a pretty good basketball player. I really do. Excellent basketball player. Not even pretty good. Excellent. Then you can't in the same breath say that. You just can't. And I think that's the thing. If Jalen Brunson made it to the finals, it would have been the same thing with him. Same thing with Jalen Brunson. Oh, he flops. Or, oh, he does this. It's like, well, you're not saying that when they're doing well, but not good enough to where you have to hate. So I think that's my biggest thing with Shea and the whole foul baiting thing. It's just weird because when he was on the Clippers, nobody said a peep. He played the exact same. When he was on the Thunder and they were winning 20 games, nobody said a peep. He played the exact same. He shot more free throws. If you go look at this, he shot more free throws then. So just to that point, it's just weird. And I think the way the basketball is covered the worst out of any national sport, I feel like. The analysts are feeding into it. So I think that's why you have the casual people who watch the game. And to Danny's point, you'll see Shea the free throw line like, oh, boy, he's just flopping. And then you see the replay, and you want to eat your words because you just see what's happening. And I think this is what basketball has become, unfortunately, for us, for us watchers.
I actually have a question. What you guys think about this? Brought up today conversation. This guy at lunch goes, the NBA is losing popularity because player empowerment. He said that the NBA is being ruined because player empowerment. He's not a fan of these players jumping around team to team.
Well,
I understand where he's coming from, but I also was counteracting. I said, why would you hate that as a fan? A player is going to try to make the league better. They're trying to make
doesn't
the league
directly
more
affect
competitive.
you. I mean, like unless you're a Thunder, Warriors, Nets, Suns, Rockets fan, like it doesn't. Shot at Kitty, but point is nah, yeah, it just these people can't be the same ones that beg players to win championships, and when they go and try to win championships, like, no, you actually have to do it at this piss poor franchise who hasn't done a damn thing for this player their entire tenure at this place. Like, you wanted LeBron to go win a chip in Cleveland? Look me dead in the eyes and say any player is winning a championship with Big Z as their second best player. No disrespect. Big Z was baller. Actually just learned. I think he had like an 89 overall in 2K4. I think I just learned that the other day. Big Z's baller. That was Algauskas at his best. What was an 18-year-old LeBron going to do with that anyway? And then we get down the road, it's like, oh well, we got him all-star Mo Williams. Look me dead in the eyes and tell me Mo Williams would be the third best player on any championship team ever. Not second, third. Same thing with Kevin Durant. Yeah, he had Russell Westbrook, but you kind of just assembled a very talented team that can't space against, and their number one enemy is the spacers, the team that started it all. So, I don't know. Also, if I were in Kevin Durant's shoes and I had a chance to go play for the Warriors, I might have done it. Not saying I would, not saying I wouldn't. I certainly would have considered it. And anyone saying like, "Oh no, that's no," you would have definitely considered it off the strength of just getting to play with Steph Curry. So this is a little side note. Danny, thanks for bringing that question up because it got me to bring that up and it got me to bring this up. The nastiest revisionist history of all time. People saying Kevin Durant was not the best player on the Warriors. That's insane. We were in the moment where everyone was like, yeah, it's Braun, KD, Steph. Those are the three best players in the world. And now they're trying to bring it to KD wasn't the first option over there. Steph was actually the best player on the team. I was there. Steph was in the mud against the Raptors without Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant popped 2 threes, gave him a little juice, and then he got hurt. But they ended up winning that game. He was in the mud without Kevin Durant. And yes, Clay was hurt too. But truthfully, all they needed was KD and friends, and they probably would have beat the Raptors.
Yeah, man, Siakam's devil magic worked so hard this time, he hurt his own teammate.
Yeah, bro, he's just too powerful. We have to do something with him. Shout out Siakam, man. Shut up. I mean, I would have never thought like the third best player on that team, would grow to be like such a pivotal point on a young team like that again. So shout out Siakam, one of the most professional players in the game. We're about to see some Siakam #1 hoops next year.
He even transferred his powers to OG Anunoby to make Tatum get hurt.
OG, what's hilarious is, man, I remember the Raptors fans. He's like, he's such baby Kawhi. He's gonna develop so good. I was like, what in your right mind? Why in your right mind did you ever think that?
Baby Kawhi is crazy. It's like
you poor souls. You just told this young man, yeah, you have to be as good as a
generational
player of the year, one of the best scorers of the 2010s. You have to live up to that, and you're going to. No, you're actually going to get traded about 4 years later, and get paid $200 million to cosplay as Kawhi Leonard. But I digress. Anything else we want to talk about in the finals? Do we want to talk about how Chet Holmgren was about 15 shots deep trying to give a speech to the crowd before the parade today?
I want to talk about how I was right. And Chet was the most important piece of the series, even though he's playing ass offensively. Without his defense, they don't win. He was so good at the rim. He literally did what Miles Turner was doing. Miles Turner was so bad that they tried Tony Bradley and Thomas Bryant in the NBA Finals in the year of 2025. They actually tried that for actual minutes because he was that bad. And even though Chet was bad, he wasn't that bad. And I think the thing I like about Chet is even when his offense isn't going, his defense doesn't go. And that's just a lot of players in the NBA. Like if their offense is not going, their defensive guys, they kind of just don't play as well. And I think Chet did that. And I think without him protecting the rim right there, if they just had Hardenstein, is over. So I think it's I want to give Chet his flowers there because I was critical of him being important in this series, and I think he was important, just not as important. Excuse me, just not in the same way I thought he would be, but he was very, very important.
Yeah, and I would say I was pretty spot on about TJ being the X factor. I mean, he wasn't unplayable. I will say in that game 7 though, while he did have a nice couple buckets and whatnot, he was turning the ball over, and I was just like, wow, TJ McConnell needs to get out of the game. But he eventually stopped turning the ball. See, the bad thing with TJ is that his possessions and his ISO possessions end in two ways. It's a make or it's a live ball turnover, and that's just not. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. The risk is not worth the award because all your shots are mid ranges, and this is why we keep bringing up that the mid range really isn't a good shot unless you're Shea or Kevin Durant or Devin Booker or Jaylen Brown or all of these mid range maestros. Paolo Banchero, guys like that. You're little TJ McConnell, unfortunately. So the risk just wasn't the reward in a game 7. I wish he took his aggression and poured it into like Nemhard or Siakam. Anything else we want to talk about from this finals? Aaron Wiggins gave the hardest speech of all time. That was pretty cool, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Let's move to these NBA trades. I don't think we got to talk about the Desmond Bane trade, believe it or not. So we can kick it off with that. We can kind of keep this one short. I want to go to Chris because Chris actually gave me a pretty good way to like look at the trade. Originally, like you see 4 first-round picks for Desmond Bane, you're like, oh, geez, Louise, like that is crazy. But Chris gave a pretty good perspective if you wanted to just go off on that.
On what?
Because yeah, how you explain the trade to us? Because originally we were like, oh, this trade is buns. Like they could have used 4 first-round picks to go to get like Trae Young, but you kind of explained it in a way that kind of made it seem more win-win.
Oh, for Desmond Bane?
Yes.
Yeah. I think. Well, for me, I think it makes the most sense because, like I said, y'all know I love Devin Booker. I was like, shoot, I wish they would have just waited and got Devin Booker. But the more I thought about it, if Paolo's your guy, which obviously he is, one of Desmond Bane's biggest strengths is playing off handoff and playing off of other good players. And I think if Paolo's going to reach that LeBron arc that I see, and I think that the Mavs are kind of thinking too, you kind of want the ball in his hands as the primary playmaker with more spacing and scoring around him so that he can kind of do that. So in my eyes, it just makes more sense that way. And then also a lot of the picks that you see there, they're going to be late 20s if it's the Magic picks. And I think they only gave away one pick that was someone else's. So they're going to be picks that's farther away. And plus you have to attach picks to get off a bad contract. And KCP was awful last year. And he's only getting older and more expensive. So you get off of that. You have Anthony Black, who you need to expand his role because he's a really good basketball player. You already extended Cole Anthony, so that's a lot of where the picks came from. So in my eyes, it was more of just KCP, Bane, and maybe KCP, Cole Anthony, and a first for Bane, which I think is a steal for the Magic in that sense. Now, if you're the Grizzlies, I think on both sides, for the other side of it, they kind of win too in a sense. Like, yeah, you get off Bane, which I think Bane was going to be a little bit more expensive than what his value is going to top out being on the Grizzlies because he's only going to be a third guy, especially if you're going to believe in Jaren and Ja Morant. So paying Bane $30+ million a year at when it gets as expensive as it's going to get, I think that's an L, especially for a team like Memphis that doesn't want to go into that second apron and be super deep into the luxury tax. I think that's a big scary deal. So for me, I think that's kind of how it's to win there. And then I think too, also, when it gets time, you have 4 first-round picks. If you are going to commit to the John Jaren style, you can maybe go get a third guy with that, or you can use that to move some of those bench players you have to get a bigger name. I just think both sides got what each team needed. Now, I think maybe the price could have been a little lower, could have been a little higher. It is what it is, but I think both teams got what they needed in a sense because if you go get Trae Young, y'all know I'm the president of Trae Young fan club. Maybe he doesn't fit as well with the Paolo and the Franz as a Bane does because you still want Franz and Paolo with the ball for the most part. You still want them being your bigger wings, making a lot of plays. So I think that kind of helps. I think Bane does very, very well off the ball. And if one of them are out, Bane has showed he can go get you 30 on a night where a star's not out. So I think he's kind of best of both worlds in that sense. And he defends. Even though he has T-Rex arms built like John Cena, he defends. And he's very, very strong. So in that sense, it fits right with what the Magic are doing. You go Suggs, Bane, Franz, Paolo. That sounds really good for the next 4 or 5 years. At least you can see what it's about. And I think it shows your fan base, if you're the Magic, that you're serious about winning and contending and capitalizing on the young talent you have right now before it's time to give Paolo and Franz. I mean, Franz on the extension already. Before it's time to give Paolo the extension. So that's kind of how I looked at that trade.
Yeah, and that kind of shifted my perspective on it. From my original yeah, it's a bozo trade by the Magic, but no, definitely not as bad as I once thought it was. Obviously, we'll have to see it play out. Obviously, on paper, like you said, it's truly a perfect fit. Um, let's move on to some of these newer trades, though. Kevin Durant, Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and 10th overall pick. My initial thoughts were, you know, the Rockets didn't. A lot of people kind of looked at it. Well, I won't say a lot. Some people looked at it and was like, "Wow, you gave up all that for like a washed Kevin Durant or whatever," which is like, okay,
He
KD and
washed?
the same set.
When is KD washed, right?
According to dorks, that's where I'm going to get to my point. Yeah, they're giving up the 10th overall pick, whoever that may be. Like the Rockets don't need more young talent. They don't need that. Dylan Brooks, great defender. I promise you, Kevin Durant's offense is going to make more than make up for that. And Jalen Green, I mean, look, one of these young pieces had to be the sacrificial lamb, and it was him. And when you look at everybody else, Tari Eason is a great defender. He's found a role on this team. Obviously, Şengün is like the offensive hub, as Chris would like to say. Amin Thompson is the pinnacle of the young guys at the moment. And then you look at other guys, and they're just not as prompting, at least for other teams, like Jabari Smith. Yeah, we haven't really got to see Jabari Smith in a lot of one number one option role, so he's not very enticing. Plus, according to Chris and his quote sources, KD wanted him there, so that's another reason why you can't give up Jabari Smith. If KD wants him, then he can't be in the trade. Same thing Kevin Garnett said. Nah, I want the little African dude talking about Rajon Rondo. And then you look at Reed Shepard hasn't proven anything. There's no reason why the Suns would want to take a bite on him. Cam Whitmore is a little Jaylen Brown bozo coded. So don't necessarily know if you want him hooping for your potential retooling team. But it could work. That it could still work. But Jalen Green had the mix of we've seen enough film, we still believe in the upside. That's why it makes a little bit more sense. In my opinion, I'd be a fool to say the team that got Kevin Durant lost the trade. Especially because this is our 2-year window to we don't really got to pay too many people. Kevin Durant's probably got 2 elite years in him. It's time. We can do this. They believe enough in Alpi and Amin that you're like, no, we're gonna get you a guy who can truly close the game as a scorer. And we know you guys can win the first 3 quarters for us. So, and hopefully those two grow as closers as well. You don't just want to be like Kevin Durant, save us in crunch time, but there will be a transition period where it's going to look like that. So, shout out H-Town. Boys home. What you guys think on this one?
Yeah, I think the interesting part about this trade is this is one of the first trades in a long time where you can say both sides could be winners.
Yeah, I mean, for what Houston, honest, and that's another thing you kind of have to look at is that was probably the best package they were going to get back for Kevin Durant. Probably
certainly was the Heat, the Celtics. They can't put better packages. Jalen Green is the best player they're going to get.
Yeah,
plus
we're objectively
picks.
lying.
Jalen
Brown. Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown. If the Celtics are stupid to trade Jaylen Brown for Kevin Durant.
Lying to yourself. 2 years ago, I said I wouldn't trade Jaylen Brown because I think one day he'll be better than what Kevin Durant was at the end of 2022. And that was a lie.
I don't think that at all.
Jaylen Brown won't even be better than what Kevin Durant is now.
I agree with that. But the issue is, I'd rather take 8 years of Jaylen Brown than 2 years of Kevin Durant. And
I
call me
would
crazy
not
for that.
because call you crazy because Jaylen Brown has a lot of money for not being anywhere near Kevin Durant. So that's just me personally. 8 years of Jaylen. I mean, we're already 8 years in with Jaylen Brown. We know what it is. So, I would have made the trade. That's me personally. But I also see where it's like, why trade for Kevin Durant? He's probably only going to get 1 year with Tatum max because Tatum's not going to play this year. So, I do get it. But Jalen Green's the perfect mix of like young upside, not is a bozo, but like maybe we can change that.
Or flip him for Luka. I'm kidding.
Never know. Never know in this league. Definitely, yeah. Miami was never going to match that though. Chris, what were your thoughts on the Rockets trade?
Rockets win, obviously.
Mr. Inside Source.
It's so funny because it's like they were trading for like Kevin Harlan or Kevin from fucking Home Alone. It's Kevin Durant. Like I don't understand. You don't lose Amin Thompson. You don't lose Jabari Smith. You don't lose any of those guys, and people are discussing that they could have in any way lost. For example, if you do have a smaller window before you have to pay these guys, there's no other mercenary to get than Kevin Durant. If you want to see what your team's about, and if you want to try to strike while the East is weaker and people are injured, there's no other higher gun to get than Kevin Durant, first and foremost. But if you're the Suns, I'm interested to see what Devin Booker thinks because you traded for another guard, another forward, and the biggest problem is power forward center. That was the part that made it weird for me on the Suns end of it. You already can't get off a bill easily. You're going to have to probably attach some seconds and all those things. So I think for the Suns, it was just a weirder return. This draft isn't a draft where I'm like excited about the 10th pick unless Malak is there at 10. I think that's a home run. I like Derek Queen, but I'm not sure if he's a plug and play right now. I would love if he is, but I think, is what it is.
You know what's so crazy though? I don't think Queen's gonna be there at 10. You know who's gonna take Queen? Little hometown kid.
DC. No, Ace Bailey will be a Wizard before Derek Queen. I'll tell you that right now.
Ace Bailey's going top 4.
I mean, he should be the third player off the board, in my opinion. But I think he's gonna. I think people are gonna be scared of him because of how his draft stuff is being handled. So I'm not sure, but I'm with you. I think he should be top 4, 100%. I think he should be 3. The Sixers.
There are people who would look at like Trey Johnson, who Trey Johnson has, nearly the scoring upside as Ace Bailey, and he's just not in the news every day. But
Trey Johnson will be a steal, though. Whoever takes Trey Johnson,
if he falls to that 5th pick, that's funny.
He's a steal. But yeah, I think to that point, it's just if you're the Suns, I think you need to make a move with some of the assets that you're getting. I think that's the most important part. I think you need to make a move because I think you need to show Devin Booker that you're serious. Because moving off of Kevin Durant and not getting back a superstar, which I think Jalen Green still has superstar potential. I still believe in Jalen Green. I'm not letting one playoff run and a bad couple months shoot me off a 23-year-old that's really, really good at scoring. So I'm not that. And maybe not a superstar, but he could be a number 2 on the championship team at his peak. And I still believe that in Jalen Green. So I think he's got to show that you're serious if you're the Suns. Because Book is 28 going on 29. It's like about that time, to where he's going to have to start making those decisions on what to do. So for me, I think the Rockets win easily because you get Kevin Durant, which also people don't understand how much getting a superstar helps with recruiting other players. Like when these other players are on these buyouts, these other players are on this free agent market, and the market doesn't look exactly how they think, they're going to think, Amin Thompson, Şengün, Kevin Durant, and they're going to be interested. So now you may get players you're not even thinking about because they're interested in playing with a team that looks like they're going to have a good chance to win. So I think that's probably the most important part for me. If for the Rockets, you set yourself up and you open up a lot of things to where a player may ask to get traded to the Rockets now. We talked about Jrue Holiday beforehand. He may ask to try to get rerouted to Houston because he sees what they're building. Just things like that. So I think the Rockets win home run. I think for the Suns, it's a win for right now because You trade Kevin Durant for young assets, which is important because you're still a younger team overall. But you got to kind of turn that into something and try to show that you're serious.
Yeah, I like
Yo,
everything you said on that
what
one.
if James Harden comes home on the low?
Russ, come home too. Bring the band back together. Russ can teach Amon Thompson how to look like a freight train in transition. Not that he needs too much help with that. And Alpi or James Harden can help Alpi be like, this is how you be a good basketball player while being fat. So
Yeah, low key, Russ can do that.
don't fall for the trap, bro. It's over. It's over, man. If he's coming to Houston, it's to simply be buddies with Kevin Durant and help Amon Thompson. Like he
It's gonna be
probably
rain.
shouldn't.
It's gonna be raining bricks in Houston, my love.
Yeah, nah. It's Kevin Durant makes it rain in Houston. He's a bricklayer in Houston. We're good off Russ. Let's move to the next trade that happened last night, which luckily we didn't record yesterday because we wouldn't be able to talk about these last two. Jrue Holiday goes to the Portland Trail Blazers in return for 26-year-old guard Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks.
I remember
So
the days when Anthony Simons was talked about as like the next coming of Jesus Christ.
Anthony Simons, he's been on my radar for a really long time because I remember his post grad year at IMG. I was like, wow, he's actually going to enter the draft after high school. Like no one's done that in a while. But I'm also kind of thinking, I'm like, he is really small. Like I don't know if he can do that. It turns out he did do that, indeed. There's also a clip out there of LaMelo Ball at 13 years old running circles around him. If anyone cares, very funny clip. But from a Celtics point of view, this is obviously a money saver. Jrue is not going to age too well. A lot of his game is built on heart, hustle. Eventually, your body's going to get out on that. Shout out Jrue. We got him that contract, but it just wasn't going to be paid here. As for Anthony Simons coming in on an expiring deal along with 2 second-round picks, which are probably going to have to be flipped in any deal where we're sending Kristaps out. It seems like he's going to need assets to go with him. Simons, though, I mean, he's as atrocious as a defender as he is, probably not a guy that I plan on Brad extending. But for 1 year, in a year where we'll be without one of the great offensive players in our game, it's at a 26-year-old who's averaged 23 points per game before. Like it can hurt, It's not like the Celtics will lose their identity in total. He's going to be running a backcourt with Derek White 95% of the time, or even Jaylen Brown. Like he's going to be okay. So it's a good money move. I like that Brad got assets back. Does sting a little bit though, because Jrue was one of the when the Celtics traded for Jrue Holiday, that's when I knew they were going to win a championship. Because he's done it before, and he's a really good player. I do anticipate on him being flipped. I don't think he should stay in Portland. I think me and Chris were talking a little bit about the show. Maybe Houston could find a way. Don't know what players they would have to give up on that, but he would fill that 2 guard spot lovely down there. Then you're looking at a defense. I thought Derek White and Jrue Holiday were probably the best defensive backcourt of all time. And then you flip it from Jrue Holiday and Amon Thompson, like probably crazier just because of Amon's freakish athletic ability. But yeah, I don't want to because I don't know Portland. Portland's so discombobulated as it is. I don't want to give them a grade yet because this clearly isn't it for them. But for Boston, I'll give it a B because it's more like a money saving move. If Anthony has a good year, you're not going to be able to extend him. If he has a bad year, you're not going to want to extend him. So this would be a 1-year rental of an Anthony Simons. But I'm very excited. He's one of my favorite players. Been so for a long time, and can't wait to see him in a little bit of a gap year for the Celtics.
I will say this though. If Jrue Holiday ends up on the Rockets, the funniest thing is people be talking about how KD can mentor Jabari. If Jrue Holiday went over there and really showed some of the things that he does on defense to Amon Thompson, like how Jrue Holiday plays defense with his body but has some of the best hands in the world, I think that would make the NBA the worst thing ever because then you have Russell Westbrook Holiday in Amon Thompson, but he's 6'7", so I think that'd be terrifying. But for the Celtics, I think the Celtics, I think it's like a C plus B. I think it's what you had to do. You had to do it.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
I think it's and it's worst players you can get You could have did the fool and took Brad Beal and 5 second-round picks for Jrue Holiday. So I don't think it's that. I don't think it's bad. So I think it's a B. I think it's good. And I think it's a good supplement. And Brad Stevens knows what you're doing in the sense of you're going to miss Jason Tatum 27 tonight. Anthony Simons is going to give you 20 at the very least.
Yep.
He's going to give you 20, and he's going to shoot the three ball.
Might let up 20, but we getting that 20.
Yeah, nobody cares about defense. This is the NBA. He's gonna.
This is the Eastern Conference, baby.
He's gonna shoot the three at a high clip. I think him and Pritchard minutes, they may not stop a soul, but boy, oh boy, that'll be entertaining. I think it's something you do when you know you have to supplement scoring, and I think that's probably the biggest deal here. Like I say, you're gonna supplement the rental. Hey, you never know; they may flip him at the deadline next summer because they can't pay him. You never know. I think it's a younger asset that's on a tradable contract to have. So I like it for the Celtics overall, and I just believe in their front office. So at the end of the day, I give it a really good grade just off the strength of that. And then on top of that, the other side of it, for the Blazers, I love it. It's a big FU to Dame and the Heat, all that. So I love that from the beginning. If you keep him for a little while, but if you flip him before you flip him, he fits the defensive identity that you guys had. He's only going to help those young guys before he's out the door. He's going to help Kamara. He's going to help the guys who've already been shown that they can do different defense and stuff like that. So I like it for that sense. And I think Jrue Holiday is one of those vets to where if he is in a bad situation, he's going to make the best of it. So he's going to end up, helping your team. But also I think he's going to get flipped. So I think it's a good asset to have, especially in this NBA where, teams are going to fight their one piece away. And Jrue Holiday is a lot of one piece away mindset thinking for a lot of teams. So I think it's a good thing to have. I think pretty smart. So I'm down.
Yeah, we'll see what they do. Danny, do you have any thoughts on the trade?
Yeah, I think the trade is pretty straightforward. Getting off bad contract, getting younger, cheap rental. I think neither team really wins. I think it's really just it's really Celtics are in like almost in purgatory right now because Jason Tatum's injured.
It's like they're not going to compete, but they'll be damned if they don't make the playoffs next year, though.
Like, look, the Celtics aren't going to be what the Sixers were this year. But damn, if they do, and get AJ Deepens, whatever the last name is.
He is a Celtics fan, by the way. Just want to remind you guys, if he, he reminds everybody every 5 seconds he's a Celtics fan, but I just want to remind you as well.
Yeah, he might be the most annoying player in the league when he gets to the league.
Who'd have it? Yeah. He's going to be real good, man. Like, this is, this is a little Caitlin Clark Paige Becker's coded where, like, the back-to-back number one overall picks are really, really good. And it's like, Caitlin plays good. It's like, oh, you think she was good? Wait till it's coming out next year. It's going to be the same thing. Cooper Flag's going to be great. It's like, yo, kid coming out of BYU, watch out. Like, he's going to be even better. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily tag anybody as a winner. I know people are freaking out. It's like, how does Brad do it? It's like, honestly, yeah, clap it up for getting off of that contract for sure. But you act like we're gonna keep Anthony Simons for a long time. That's just not the deal. We're taking on a rental to just get off the contract. He's not gonna be here long, not at all. So, good trade. That's why when I tweeted out, I said always a pleasure doing business with the boys in Portland because it's like it's never some finesse action. Like there's reasons on both sides for what we do. So let's talk about the last trade that happened today. I want to pull up the specifics of it first before I say anything. It was CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick are heading to the Washington Wizards for Jordan Poole, Sadiq Bey, and the 40th overall pick in this year's draft. If you ask me, this kind of just says the Pelicans are looking towards a certain direction, looking to stay young. Wouldn't be surprised if DeJounte Murray, once healthy, is also on the way out. Not to say he's an old head, but your age off the Achilles ain't great. The Wizards feel like they might have chosen their fair share of young guys. Like Poole was good for a little bit, but you know what? We believe in Sarr. We believe in Carrington, George. Johnny Davis, of course. But it's I guess trading, it's kind of like the Rockets thing. It's like we chose what young guys we want. We can bring in some vets. Not sure how long they'll stay, but so I don't necessarily know if I have a thought on who the winner is on this one. But I do like the idea of Poole being surrounded with wings like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy and a Zion. Like, it's gonna be a fun team to watch for sure. I don't know how successful they'll be, but it'll be fun, in my opinion. Any immediate
Yeah.
thoughts on the trade?
What this trade tells me is Herb Jones could be moved.
Okay. If Herb Jones were to be moved, what suitors do you think you like for him? Do you think more like young building teams are looking to like maybe get his offensive upside out, or do you think it's like win now teams that's like, we just need a guy who can shoot threes and play defense, and we'll worry about his development later?
I think teams in the East, they might try to move up and package him to move up is what I could see happening.
Okay.
So teams like the Jazz, teams like the Sixers, teams like the Wizards, if they wanted to move back and the Pelicans wanted to move up,
yeah,
Herb Jones is an interesting asset to put along to move up. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Chris, what were your thoughts on the trade?
I kind of think the opposite of Danny in the sense of I think this means they want to keep Herb only for this reason, Danny. So the reason I say that is because you added more offense, and Herb offense is just. I do love Herb with defense, but his offense kind of far on the phone worthy. So I don't know. And I think JP, if you're going to have Jordan Poole, especially with DeJounte Murray probably missing the beginning of the season, just rehabbing and stuff, you're going to have a Herb next to him. Now, when DeJounte comes back, to your point, Danny, I think it makes Herb a little more expendable. But yeah, honestly, I like it. I think Jordan Poole's instant offense, people forget because he's on the Wizards and he has some weird years over there because, it is the Wizards. He has some weird years. But I'm a big Jordan Poole fan. I think this is better for him. It gives you assurance, I said again, for offense. When you traded Brandon Ingram, you can't necessarily count on Zion for more than 60 games. I think it just gives you another score. So I get it for the Pelican side of it. The Wizards, I get it for them too, in the sense of you're getting vets. Middleton opted in to $34 million. Smart's still there. CJ's still there. So in the sense of you have your young guys, to your point, Tone, Danny, you have your young guys. You clearly believe in them. You're giving them another vet to kind of show them the ropes on how to be a professional. Now, before those guys get flipped, or if they in there and then sign somewhere elsewhere. I think it's just a good guys to have in the locker room around your young guys as you get ready to build, because you're not going to contend next year, no matter who you trade for or who you draft. So I think another year of just developing these guys as professionals and teaching them more about the game, the nuances. Bub Carrington getting to a mid-range basket, nobody better to teach in the history of not in the history of the NBA, but in the most recent 10, 15-year history of the NBA than CJ McCollum teach a guard that besides Kyrie. I like that in a sense. I like Middleton showing Kayshawn George how to be a professional. It makes sense when you're not going to be good regardless. So I can see getting more vets over there when you already have your 7 to 8 young guys that you kind of believe in already, not even including this young pick that you're going to get now. So I think it works for both teams. The Pelicans aren't the best front office in my opinion, any freaking way. So I'm not expecting them to do much. But yeah, we'll see. I think it's a good trade for surface level what it seems both teams may want to do.
Yeah, I agree with the the vets in Washington thing, because a lot of people like to point it's like you should really choose the timeline and stick to it. And a lot of people bring this up because of the Warriors, where it's like, okay, we had Steph, Clay, Dre, but we also have Moody, Kuminga, and Pods. And you're trying to, that's the problem, but you're trying to compete with two different timelines. That's not the deal here, though. The Wizards are bad. They're going to be bad next year, but it's like, you know what? We got some good vets in here. We got Olynyk, we got McCollum, we got Middleton. We're not going to be good. Let's just teach these young guys something and go out there and have fun. And every time on the history of the show, we've said that about a team, where they're like, this season it's all about going out there and having fun. They've actually been really good. So, most notably the Texans. We said they wouldn't win 4 games and they made the playoffs. CJ Stroud's rookie year. That was really fun. But yeah, no other thoughts. Other trade speculations is Kristaps Porzingis looks to be on the way out. A lot of teams are interested in Jaylen Brown. A lot of people are interested in Derek White, but I think they're going to be very surprised at the price tag that a Derek White might be. Obviously, Beal is going to be someone to keep an eye on. If the Sixers, I don't think they can, but if they can manage to find a way to trade Paul George, which it won't happen, but something to also look out for. Anything else we had to discuss before we get on out of here?
Yes.
And that is?
Yes. The Hawks have just emerged as the biggest suitors for Kristaps Porzingis, so he may be free of the zinger coming soon.
And we get Trae Young, right?
No, you be getting Muhammad Guy and I'm just kidding. They haven't shown what the package would be.
We can get Jalen Johnson. Yeah. That's what I'm
You
hearing.
can get somebody named Jalen. Maybe Jalen Rose as a GM or something. No, I'm kidding.
We can get Reese Sachet. Yeah.
Nope.
Reese Sachet can fit the business. Defense, a little bit of scoring upside.
Nope.
No.
And then the last thing I seen was that the Celtics are considering legitimately trading Jaylen Brown, which I know you kind of touched on, but they said it's like they're getting real offers. And I think one of the offers is from Houston or San Antonio. And just reading from the people that I follow as far as like the NBA insiders, I think those two would be it. And I think what's left of assets, the Spurs will probably be the best place.
I'll tell you straight up, man. If the Spurs offer 2 guys from their young core, like a Vassell and a Sohan or a Castle and a Sohan, I'm already intrigued. I dare them to throw in the 2nd overall pick, because it's going to get nasty. Because if you let the Celtics draft Dylan Harper, they have their guard. They have their point guard for the next however many years. But I doubt, Brad, while a miracle worker, 2 good young players and the 2nd overall pick. Especially because Jaylen Brown's not worth that. And that's another thing. Like when people say, like if Jaylen Brown were to be traded, I'm not shocked. He makes too much money to just not be as well-rounded as he is. That's why I see he will probably he's up on the trade block before Derek White. Derek White is not the scorer Jaylen Brown is, obviously, but he's a better defender, he's a better passer. He can score just fine. He's not Jaylen Brown, but he can score just fine. He's Jason Tatum's friend, so yeah. Apparently, I see another thing where it's like, the Suns and Celtics could be in talks. It's like Bradley Beal coming to Boston. I'm like, that is a pure Jason Tatum wants it move, because obviously him and Brad are both Chaminade legends. Brad is his senior, showed him the ropes and whatnot. Two of Drew Hanlon's greatest soldiers out of pure sweat.
Hey, shout out to Brad Beal. I feel like I do like Brad Beal as a basketball player. Actually, a pretty good guy. So I hope this year kind of a little redemption when he's not making $85 million a year. And I think people can realize he's actually still a good basketball player if he can stay healthy. And I think he's going to go to a team that's contending. I think he's going to be a pretty helpful piece. So I hope that does happen. I've been seeing the Bulls. Please, Jesus Christ, do not, please, because I just don't want to see him over there with 75 guards and look worse. So that's my thing.
He's gonna bring up 75 people a game from St. Louis.
And I might be one of them.
But another thing with Brad Beal is, though, can we just touch about, like, he's so real. Like, he's like, I'm not waiving my no trade clause. My wife likes it here in Phoenix. Yeah. And you make it like $70 million. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First and foremost.
Salute.
Y'all traded for me, knowing I have a no trade clause, and y'all seen my contract.
Knowing I make this bag.
Why would I take a buyout? That sounds redacted. There's no way I'm taking a buyout to make less money because y'all don't want me here no more. Either y'all find a way to trade me to a place I want to go because I got the no trade clause, or suffer.
What Manziel say? For my cut. Need it now. I don't need no buyout. I don't need to get my last check in 2055. No. I need it now. Before they send me to the war. So, yeah, shout out Brad Beal. We'll see what happens there. We'll see what happens with Jaylen Brown, two of the most overpaid players in the NBA. One could say the two most overpaid, but Paul George does exist, so he is in that combo. Anything else you have to
Tobias
say before we
Harris,
get on out of here?
Tobias
What's
Harris is off the hook for once.
Hey, man. Shout out to Tobias, man. Chase that bag.
Also, new little
you
hat
better than
hooks
Paul
up
George.
here.
Huh?
New hat hooks up. Got some new hat hooks up here.
Not bad. That's not bad. Show me a Red Sox hat. Can you do that? We're about to witness history. Red Sox fan shows us his only Red Sox gear. There it is. You'd almost forget that he's a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, Izzy kept zooming in. He's looking for the hat. It was like dun 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 dun. Dun. Izzy gonna pull out.
That's something the Mac likes to do.
Look, Danny got mad or
me.
look right now. Look how it's popping in on him. Like, dun, 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 dun. See, and he pulled out his hat.
Look at this one.
Free.
Well, actually, add that number together and add one Aaron Rodgers hat.
Yo, guess what? It's a Troy Polamalu hat from when I was a little kid.
Legend.
Troy hat. I'm out. Numbers on the brim is some of the nastiest stuff I've seen.
That's how you know the hat is from when you were a kid. You got numbers on the brim.
For sure. I remember I got my favorite snapback signed by a couple players, and I'm like, wow, I think you can't wear this anymore. That kind of sucks. That was pretty dumb. It's almost bad as having a Riley Cooper signed football. That's crazy. What do I do with that? I'm not sure. I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, you know what? What if I just have almost every white Eagles skill position try to sign this?
He made a mistake.
Just to be a funny gag. Funny gag. Riley Cooper is the first person to sign. I'm gonna have Reed and Coop sign it. We're gonna have
Riley Cooper and Josh Huff need to sign that.
Josh Huff will be tough. That will be tough. Who is a more niche football signing than that? No one.
Me. I have a mini football of Wendell Smallwood Jr.
That is very nice. Very nice, Bateman. But that's nothing. I have a signed football from Deuce Staley.
Deuce Staley's a demon, bro.
Legendary.
Yeah, but the youngins don't know nothing about that.
Kristaps Porzingis got traded.
Okay, we have something to talk about. We're not going anywhere, guys.
The Hawks, right?
Oh, Chris just said the Hawks were on the move.
For George Niang and Terrence Mann.
George Niang is on my basketball team, guys.
Good Lord.
I don't really know how to react to this information. Tatum don't really like dude. I can't see him staying.
Yeah, George Niang got to
Okay, so all right, I'm gonna read out the whole trade. Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a 3-team trade that sends Kristaps Porzingis and a second-round pick to the Atlanta Hawks, Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 2 overall pick to the Nets, and George Niang and a second-round pick to the Celtics.
Oh, wow.
I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know the top of my head how much the Celtics get in savings there. But if I had to guess, I do think, including whoever their future first-round pick signing is going to be, I think they might be under the second apron by this point. If not, they're very close. They also don't have to have a first-round pick. They can just trade back out of the first round like they always do.
Okay. Brad thinks he's Howie Roseman. That's why. He thinks.
I hate to break it to you. Howie might be better than Howie Roseman. Like it's just with the way NBA money works. He does some pretty nasty stuff.
I don't know.
They're both my GMs, so I don't care. But
I think football's harder to deal with. You got to get 53 players on a team.
That is true. You have to manage more guys on your team, but you don't have to match money like the NBA. You don't got to match money. You don't got to worry about second apron. There's just a hard cap. As long as you are under that by the time you trade for insert player, you're straight. You're good. And another thing where Howie, actually, you might be right because Howie is way better at Brad than this.
Why he uses picture of him?
What do you mean?
He uses me. He looks mad, bro.
While the Celtics are now out of the salary cap second apron, according to Shams Charania. But that does not include whoever they may draft. So take that for what you will. Sam Hauser most likely next out of the door. Okay. That's a lot. So we can go.
Why do they want to get out of second apron? What is the benefit of this?
It's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. You have to spend what's it like $10 $2 for every single dollar you're over the second apron. It's ridiculous. It is a ridiculous tax that you don't want to be there for. So
It's so
they
many
want to get
penalties.
under it this year. That's what it looks like. They would have been under it next year. They certainly want to be under it this year.
Well, without
Especially
Tatum, with Tatum hurt, yeah, sure, I would.
Yeah, I mean, even if Tatum wasn't hurt, like we could have won the championship this year. Dudes were going out the window, regardless, because they're not paying all that. Okay, so let's start with the Hawks. The Hawks get Kristaps and a second round pick. They lose the 22nd overall pick. Oh, and Terrence Mann.
I didn't know Terrence Mann was on the Hawks. So
Yeah, got traded for Bogey. I'm pretty sure at the deadline. But I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you don't think Kristaps is just chalked up to his HIV ball in the playoffs, I mean, hey, this is the best pick and pop, maybe the only pick and pop partner that Trey has had in his time in Atlanta. This is a great rim protector. This could also be a way of being able to usher in Onyeka Okongwu into that starting front court for sure, while getting off a Clint maybe, because while I think Onyeka is a better post defender than Kristaps is, Kristaps still a better pure rim protector. And we know Kristaps brings to the table offensively. A post mismatch nightmare, pick and pop, pick and roll. Think Trey's going to have fun with that for sure. And spacing's going to be great with him and Jalen Johnson. All he gave up was Terrence Mann, and the 22nd overall pick. I don't think this is bad for Atlanta.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
No,
Brooklyn
for Atlanta, what it tells me is they're keeping Trae Young.
Yeah,
Trae Young.
this is the Trae Young player. Yes, I agree.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. We thought John Collins was good. Come on now.
Yeah, where John Collins is more nasty of a lob threat. I mean, in this day, it matters more whether you can pick and pop. So, and Porzingis is probably the best pick and pop big in the NBA.
Hey, give Embiid his credit when he's playing.
No.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Get your big ass on the post, man. That be getting me tight, yo. Like I know you can shoot, but yo, get down there. You be making me mad.
He's a guard. He's a 7'2" guard.
He's Jalen Brunson in a Giants body.
There it is. That's what he is.
Or is Jalen Brunson Embiid in a midget's body?
No,
Jalen Brunson does what he has
close.
to do because he is little. He has to do that.
And Jalen Brunson
That's 6'1", that's on his NBA card. Lying. He's
I'm gonna tell you right now,
do what he's got to do.
Jalen Brunson is not 6'1". I can tell you that from seeing him in real life up close. He's 5'11" at best. But I'm gonna tell you this right now, Danny. You better hope that the Heat get desperate and they just go and trade for Embiid. That's your out. That's your out right there. That's it. That's your out.
You're gonna get mad picks.
You'll get
Bam.
Bam and Wiggins for Embiid.
Don't
That's
want
a
Bam
W.
these days. I'm afraid.
Bam and Wiggins.
Contract look crazy.
Bam and Wiggins.
Crazy for a big who can't shoot.
Bam and Wiggins for
crazy.
Embiid.
It's better than Sabonis, but it's still crazy.
Exactly.
Bam and Wiggins for Embiid.
Sabonis
Bam and Wiggins for Embiid.
Will never get by
Chris,
us.
you're intriguing me. Bam and Wiggins for Embiid, and then they move off Paul George somehow, and then they draft Ace Bailey.
That's what I'm trying to say.
We're not sneaking by that. We trade off Paul George somehow. And somehow I could run a marathon tomorrow.
Man,
I'm tell you right now.
How are we getting there?
It's two teams that would even entertain the Paul George thing. One of them,
Suns?
No. One of them.
I mean, they did it once, so I mean, like,
one of them is in the Big Three trilogy, and the other is in China, the Guangdong Tigers. Other than that, my brother, you are stuck.
Imagine if we could trade across leagues, though. That'd be nasty. That'd be pretty nasty.
Imagine
and then you're worried
about
we're over the salary cap by 100 pesos.
The Guangdong Tigers. I offer you every single asset that we own for LeBron James. Declined. We're good.
Yeah, LeBron getting traded to China would kill me.
The Nets
and then the Nets get Terrence Mann, and I'm assuming the only thing they're dealing in this whole thing is just the picks. They get Terrence Mann.
The Nets will never be good. I'm convinced they just will never be good.
They should have dealt Cam Johnson to get ahead on that rebuild, but they got Terrence Mann and Atlanta's number 22 overall pick for some second rounders. That's cool, I guess. I mean, Terrence Mann isn't anything special. The 22nd overall pick isn't going to be anything crazy unless you make it out to be. So I don't have much thoughts on that. And the Celtics, I can't believe Georges Niang is on my team. Pretty heartbroken. I'm not going to lie.
Hey,
I
you
know
got
it's
the
under
bus.
Salary cap. That's the minivan.
The bus.
Or is he that big these days? We're calling him the bus.
The bus.
I hate him so much. I do not like him at all.
Yo, you
Not saying
remember
him.
that's their counter for KD. Remember when he soloed KD's Nets?
I'm sure.
The Celtics said, you guys got KD? We got Georges Niang.
Jerry Rice's documentary called A Football Life. There was a part dedicated to him and Deion Sanders' rivalry. And when he got the news that Deion was coming to San Francisco, Jerry said, "That guy's coming here." That's how I feel about Georges Niang. Me and Georges Niang have a rivalry on the levels of Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice. We hate each other that much. He doesn't know me, by the way, but I don't like him.
He said, I don't like you.
Tatum probably feels like that right now. He's coming here. I just dropped him like 10 months ago. Or whatever it may be. But the top comment on this is a Celtics fan saying Georges Niang with a flight gif. Yeah, I feel you, brother. I feel you.
Would you be saying it's never been more over?
Oh my god. And here go Knicks fans saying, "Oh my God, Jalen Brunson ended the Celtics." No, brother, we could have three-peated somehow at the end of this year, and Kristaps and Jrue were never making their way back. Shout out to those brothers, man. Okay, so before Shams rudely interrupted me, anything else we have to go over before we get on out of here?
No more bombs coming.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, subscribe to the channel. Audio listeners, leave a like, 5-star review, anything to push that algorithm. AP New Freezer, Culture by Migos, DC Comics. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next week.